So let's start the session with a small story. So, how many of you really like stories? Like, I was always super excited during my childhood days about stories. Stories always excited me. And the story that I'm talking about is a real story of a janitor. A janitor who died in 2014. 2014, Mr. Reed is a janitor. Janitor means some like a mechanic, a person who would do all odd jobs at a very low level. In 2014, when he died, he surprised many. He surprised many with the wealth that he amassed. And his wealth was $8 million, which, like, if I translate into Indian rupee, it would be somewhere around 61 crores. So, can you believe a person who was doing odd jobs throughout his life, when he died filthy rich with 61 crore rupees. When I read it for the first time, when I got to know about him for the first time, I was really like shocked. I said, "How that possible? Yeah, I'm studied so much. I'm working in a big corporate, and I'm hardly able to save any damn thing. But this guy doing odd jobs with meager earnings, his earnings was somewhere around like $50 per week. That is 4,000 per week. How can he make so leave such a huge wealth behind? And any guesses what was the reason? How he made it possible?" My first guess was that he would have surely made it through a lottery. And I was wrong. That he didn't win a lottery. And as most of you said, he saved. How much he saved? He saved as much as he can and saved consistently. He saved consistently. He was not a very smart investor. Okay, he was neither a smart investor nor he had a financial degree. Only thing that he did was he saved consistently. With his smart savings and investing habits, he made that possible by saving consistently and by being patient and letting the power of compounding do its trick. Now, I'm not going to spend time here by trying to tell you what power of compounding is. I'm sure by looking at the responses, almost each one of you know how the power of compounding works. But the apathy is, in spite of knowing the power of compounding, do we all have the patience to let the power of compounding do its trick? And for majority, the answer is no. Most of us are highly impatient when it comes to our savings and highly indisciplined when it comes to savings. I'm sure quite a few of you would be very consistently, very disciplined manner, you must be saving. But that is one part of it. What is the other part? The other part is let the saving do its work. But what happens? Some small challenge, some financial challenge, and what happens? We go and just dig into our savings without even looking at other possibilities. We are not patient enough. And suddenly we see our savings going down by some volatility or other things. We get scared and we go back to some safe havens. Morgan Housel, in his book Psychology of Money. Now, this is a book which I would recommend each one of you, if you are really committed for yourself to be a good planner for yourself. That is, you want to start financial planning on your own. This is one book I would recommend to start with. There are so many books in the market, but I would say and trust me, this is the best book to start with. Very simple, very easy to learn, and it will make you understand what Mr. Morgan says about investing, about psychology of money. What he says is financial success is not a hard science. It is just a soft skill where you have to behave. How you behave is more important than what you know. So we all know we have a lot of gyan today's internet world. Thanks to this internet world, and especially post covid, each one of us have become a gyani baba, isn't it? Each one of us become a gyani baba. We know we have lot of gyan about financial planning, about investing. We all know that okay, I should be investing into stock market, I should be investing into an ETF, I should be investing into say cryptos, isn't it? We all know a lot of things about investing, we know a lot of things about saving, but knowing is just the start of it. What makes the difference is how we behave throughout these golden years of your life, when we have a potential to save and let our savings do the magic. So friends, it is actually our relationship with money and our behavior with money, how we behave with money, that determines how wealthy we become and not how intelligent we are. Most of the time we say that intelligent persons are especially financial intelligence. People who are financially intelligent can make more money. No, I would say people who are financially literate and having a disciplined approach towards investment, they make the most. Now this brings one question to my mind: am I wanting to die rich, or am I wanting to die wealthy? You may ask me, Rajesh, both are one and the same, isn't it? Few may say yes, few may say no, few may say rich means that, rich means that, wealthy means this, wealthy means that. Okay, let's understand what dying rich, or what being rich and what being wealthy is. What's the difference is? Being rich is more about having more and more money. It's all about earning more and more money and spending more and more money. It's all about having a lavish lifestyle, having the best of the vehicles like Lamborghini, going to the best of the destinations. Or nowadays, we have been hearing after this Russia and Ukraine war, we have been hearing that the Russian oligarchs' yachts have been seized, and many people dream, यार मैं कब ऐसा yacht खरीदूंगा. So all those dreams, all those aspirations which we have with regard to lavish lifestyle, and if you are the one who always believe in lavish lifestyle, who wants to show off, who want to show that okay, how much I have, how much I can spend, how much I can afford, if that is the thing, then you need to aspire to be rich. But if you are the person who believes, hey Rajesh, I need to have that much money which is enough for my kind of lifestyle. I'm not interested in show off, but yes, I want a very comfortable lifestyle, a lifestyle where a life where I need not worry about earning money and I can do whatever it takes for me to just be happy. And yes, the silver lining, again, I'm repeating, I'm not interested in show off my wealth. That comes the desire to be wealthy. So being wealthy means having enough resources of incomes where without you making any effort, without you spending any time, you are able to earn that much money to meet your expenses, to meet your comforts, to meet your required luxuries without bothering about money. So now I can ask you again. So do you want to die rich or do you want to die wealthy? Now, many people say, Rajesh, obviously I would love to die wealthy. But there's nothing wrong if you want to be rich as well. Only thing is you need to understand the difference. that what are you aspiring for. If you are aspiring for a lavish lifestyle, then you need to constantly work on your own to slog your life to earn money. If you want to die wealthy, you just need to look at the smarter ways of saving money. So the choice is always yours. Am I rich or am I wealthy? I aspire to die wealthy, boss. I'm neither rich neither wealthy today, but yes, I'm making my efforts and on the path of being wealthy. So if you want to be wealthy, the first thing that you need to know the difference between asset and liabilities. And why the difference between asset and liabilities? Because to be wealthy, I need to create a banquet of assets that will keep on generating me a constant stream of income. So here comes what an asset means. So tell me, is your car an asset? Is your car an asset? Most of you say no. I just see one or two yes. Few said it's a depreciating asset. See, if I'm an accountant, I would say yes, the car is an asset because it has a tangible value. It has some value on its own. It can be sold at some value. But yes, I I start renting. Yes, Asif and one more person who mentioned. I love that answer. Car is an asset if I have rented it out and I'm earning money by the car, else it's a liability. So here comes the simple distinction of what an asset is and what a liability is. Anything that puts money into your pocket, anything that brings money into your pocket is an asset. Anything and everything, including your home. A home in which you are living in is a liability, but the same home, if you are renting it out or if you are selling it, it becomes an asset. So simple distinction, anything that puts in money into your pocket is an asset. Anything that takes out money from your pocket, like your home maintenance, your car maintenance, anything that takes out money from your pocket is a liability. Now, for being wealthy, what you need to do is you need to create more and more of assets. You have to create more and more of assets, and not just one or two, multiple types of assets, so that you diversify. Now here comes, what are the kind of assets that I should focus on? What are the various type of assets that I should be focusing on, isn't it? Now the first and foremost asset which basically we Indians always love, most of us love, is real estate, isn't it? Our first major investment, I would say first major investment also always goes in the form of either uh, a bank FD savings, or it would be buying a small plot of land. A small plot of land. How many of you have really bought a small plot of land? Even I have bought. My first one of my first investment was a small plot of land in the outskirts of Hyderabad. Okay, so that is one of the first investments that we have, real estate, one of the favorite. And the reason is, somewhere psychologically we believe the real estate is something that I can see. I know what my land is, where my land is. First thing. Second, we always feel that real estate never goes into loss. It's one of a secured investment. But I want to ask you, is real estate always a secured investment? Something that has no risk involved? No. Real estate has its own set of risks. Now, what are the specific features of real estate? First thing, real estate, it is tangible. You can see where your money has gone into. Am I right? First. Second, It is always depend on the demand and supply. The prices are volatile. The prices are volatile. It always depends on demand and supply. And if someone who is not really in agreement with me, kindly see the property prices between 2008 to 2010. 2008, the property prices were at peak. 2009, they started falling, and the 2010, they were at 50 to 40% of what the property prices were in 2008 when the real estate boom happened. In 2008, the real estate boom happened, and in 2009, the bomb happened. So real estate has always got its own inherent risk. So I would not get into that. Okay, what are the specific features? But I would say what you should consider while buying real estate. Now, first factor is real estate is something that should be invested for a 10 years horizon. So if you have surplus money, you know that you will not be requiring this money for the next 10 years at any cost, reasonably. Then yes, you should invest into real estate. Second, liquidity. If you are someone who has already taken care of your liquidity in the sense where you can convert your asset into money, cash, instant cash. So you don't need this property in terms of cash whenever you need a cash. You have got enough liquidity. Then you can invest your money into real estate. Third, always prefer a commercial real estate. A commercial real estate means a office or a shop which can be rented out, so that not only appreciation, you can also get a regular income from it in the form of rent. Now here I'm slightly not so positive when it comes to residential real estate, that is investing into residential property, buying second home, buying third home, so that I can rent it out. And the reason is, real estate when it comes to residential, it always gives you only 3%, around 3 to 4%. In fact, I would say 2 to 4%, the yield, that is the rent that you get from a residential property, would be only between 2.5% to 4% of the property value. Whereas if you go to a commercial real estate, the rent that you can expect out of that property would be somewhere around 5 to 6% of the property value. So as such, you would be getting a higher return on recurring basis. And we also know that when it comes to property appreciation, the appreciation of a commercial property is always more than the residential property, because residential property after a period of time starts depreciating, because the construction value is zero down, the furniture value is zero down, and only the land value is residual. Okay, so this is what for real estate. Now, what is the second one? The second option is direct equities. Now, what does direct equity means? Investing into other companies that are listed into stock market by you directly investing, into stock market. So if you are the one who are interested in direct equities, what you should be doing is, first, learn the distinction between investing and trading. Post COVID, we have seen a lot of people entering into the stock market, but 99% of the people who have entered in the stock market are traders, or I would say speculators. They're not investors. Now, what does investing and speculation means? Investing means you invest into a company, that is, you pick a company after studying its fundamentals, not the charts, not the technical charts. I'm not a big fan of the technical chart, not the technical charts, but you study the fundamental of a company, understand the business model of a company, look into the financial aspects of the company, zero in on a company, and then invest into that company with at least 10 years horizon. That for the next 10 years, unless and until something goes wrong with this company, I'm not going to sell this company shares. That is what investing means. But if you are looking at the technical charts, or if you are just buying shares because a friend of yours has given a tip कि यार 200 में खरीद ले 300 हो जाएगा, and the moment it becomes 300, it becomes 250, 260, you just sell it off again by something, then you are only a trader. You buy and sell, buy and sell, you are only a trader. Now, trading is not investing. Trading is again some other profession. People who want to earn money for their regular livelihood, and who has an ability to sit into the stock market throughout the day, for them it is meant, but not for people like you and me who have got our own jobs, our own uh, various responsibilities, and investing we are doing for creating wealth. Now, Mr. Reed, whose story I said about the start at the start, the janitor who made a $8 million wealth, he invested throughout his life in almost 95 stocks, and none of the stock he sold. And when he died, the value of that stocks, that is the value of the shares of those companies, was $8 million. So that's how we generated wealth. And believe me, friends, historically, if you look at the returns, historically, if you look at the returns of various assets, direct equity, that is the stock market, has always given the highest return on any investment period of 10 years. So if I take any investment period of 10 years, like 2022 to take back 2012, or 2010 to 2020, or 2005 to 2015, if I take any 10 years block randomly, barring no exception, direct equities is always given the highest return when compared to other asset class. And if you are someone who don't have the time, you don't have the time, patience, and energy to learn about stock market, to research about a company and invest directly, then I would suggest you should explore the mutual funds route. Invest into mutual funds, invest into some good performing mutual funds. If you want, I can share a list of few mutual funds also at the end of the session during the Q&A. Invest in those mutual funds and leave it for your considerable period of time and let compounding do its job. And the next form of asset which you can actively consider is bonds. Now, what are those bonds? Bonds are like loans. When you give a loan to government, when you give a loan to any company, they are known as bonds. Like government bonds are there, RBI issue bonds, central government issue bonds, state governments issue bonds. Various companies like Reliance, your Adani, they all issue debentures or commercial bonds. Even banks issue bonds. Now, bonds are relatively safer when investing into direct equity. Safer in the sense the volatility is missing. You are assured of a certain percentage of return. And roughly, as on date, if you are investing into long term bonds, the kind of return that you may expect would be somewhere around 7 to 8%. 7 to 8%, which is again better than your fixed deposits. Your fixed deposits, what is the current return on fixed deposits? What is the current return on fixed deposits? It is somewhere between 4.5 to 5.5%, less than 5 basically. And remember, your interest on fixed deposits is taxable and taxable at your actual rate. So if I'm someone who is on 30% tax bracket, if I'm investing into a fixed deposit with 5% interest, 30% tax, my effective interest rate is just 3.5%. At 3.5%, whereas what is the current inflation rate? What is the current inflation rate? The inflation rate, yeah, somewhere between 6 to 7%. It has been hovering between 6 to 7%. Now, where my inflation means mehengai, the rate at which my value of money is depreciating. So, where my value of money is depreciating at 6 to 7%, and my value of my FD is appreciating only around 3.5 to 4% if I'm at 20% tax bracket, or 4.5% if I'm at 10% tax bracket, is my actual value in FD increasing or decreasing? Is my actual value in FD increasing or decreasing? Yes, it decreases, and it has been always. Only thing is, we have got a false sense of security that my money is safe in the bank, but you are not investing, you are only saving your money. That's it. You are only maintaining your money, but at the end, after 5 to 10 years, your value of money is depreciating. RD is also a fixed deposit. RD is just a different form of fixed deposit where you regularly invest. So there is no difference between RD and FD except the way you invest. Now, bonds include government bonds, long term, maybe 10 years government bonds or so. And bonds, instead of investing directly into the bonds, my suggestion would be invest into debt mutual funds. Now, this so when you are investing into bonds, you go and invest into one or two bonds. Yeah, right? But when you are investing into a debt mutual funds, what will happen is this debt mutual funds will in turn go and invest into various other bonds, into government bonds, including gold bonds. So this debt mutual funds would be better. Currently, in terms of volatile increasing debt market, I would suggest you to invest into a short-term debt fund, and maybe after a year or two, you can move that money into a mid-term or a long-term debt fund. How to find a debt mutual funds? You can please go on to Value Research website, and you can get good debt funds, or you can reach out to me during after the Q&A session. I would recommend you a few debt funds. Don't worry. Next come commodities. Now tell me, what are the favorite commodities that we love investing into? What are the favorite commodities that we love investing into? Gold, yes. Gold is our all-time favorite. Silver, how can we forget? So people who cannot afford gold invest into silver. Then there are diamonds, your crude oil. Yes, there are lot of this kind of commodities which people love investing. Now, I'm not going getting into each and every commodity details, but I would specifically speak about gold. Gold, which is the largest commodity where people invest. Now, one salient feature of gold is gold is the best hedge against inflation. That means if I want to protect my money and keep it either at a level of inflation or slightly more than inflation, gold is the best investment. Because historically, if you see, 1 year gold might have given a 20-25% return, other year gold falls down by 10 to 15%, another year again it increases by 15%. It's a volatile year on year, depending on the global scenarios. Like currently, when there is an uncertainty, currently there's a huge uncertainty into global economy because of Russia and Ukraine war. So currently, since other economies are not doing well, gold becomes a safe haven. A safe haven, like if some economy collapses, if my government collapses, if the companies collapses, gold will be there with me as my savior. So it becomes a safe haven. But once things become normal, the gold prices will again start falling. Will again start falling. And then my equity and my mutual funds will start increasing. So gold on an average, if I take a 10 years period, always gives a return of 1 to 2%, 1 to 2% more than inflation. So if the inflation is currently say 8%, it would be giving 9 to 10%. If it is 6%, it would be giving 7 to 8%. So it gives 1 to 2% more than inflation. That is the feature of gold. So when should you sell gold, buy gold? I will answer it during the Q&A. Is gold or gold bonds it better? I would say gold bond is better. The only reason is when it comes to appreciation value of the bond, it is one and the same. Only thing is gold, physical gold, I need to keep it secured at my home. But gold bond, my RBI. Gold bond is issued by RBI. I would always recommend to go for a gold bond issued by RBI, because other gold funds and all, there had been slightly hanky panky things that are being reported, though it has not completely fully into public domain, but certain hanky panky things of fake gold and are being reported. When it comes to the gold bonds that are issued by the sovereign gold bonds issued by RBI, they are the best investment, because they give you a year on year additional return of 2.5%. Yes, Pratik, you are right. 2.5% the government gives you a return 2.5%. Only thing is they have a lock in period of 5 years. So you cannot sell those bonds, sovereign gold bond, for 5 years, but you will get a return of 2.5% on your investment value. First thing. Second, after 5 years, whenever you sell, you will be getting the market price. Next is intellectual property. Now, intellectual property is one asset which can create wonders. Harry Potter. How many of you have seen that movie? Harry Potter. How many of you have seen that movie? And who is the writer of Harry Potter? J.K. Rowling. Now, J.K. Rowling, hardly you can could meet her ends when she wrote Harry Potter. But today, she's filthy rich. She's filthy wealthy. Am I right? And the whole reason is the intellectual properties that she carries with Harry Potter. So intellectual property is one way, and current generation they have been investing a lot in terms of intellectual properties like your trademarks, your patents, your copyrights. These are the intellectual properties which you can aspire to hold. And last but not the least is a business. You may create a side business, or you can start having an extra income through some part-time business kind of thing. The business had always been one form of an asset which can create wonders. Like it has got an unlimited potential. It can be 2x, it can be 4x, it can be 20x, it can be even 200x, 200 times of your investment. So business is something which has got unlimited potential. Now, out of this seven, in fact I would say six, because direct equity mutual funds is actually either a subset of direct equity or a bond. So I would say out of this six, if I keep out intellectual property and business aside, because this is something which not each everyone does, or if it does it's an exception. But if I keep only these two out and look at the four assets, that is real estate, equities, debt, that is bonds are my other chit funds and all investment, and commodities, these four assets, the golden question that I would be asking myself, the major question is, Rajesh, how much I should be investing in real estate, how much I should be investing into stock market, how much I should be investing into say debt mutual funds or bonds, or my chit funds, or how much I should be investing into gold or any other commodity. So how many of you have this question, that how much you should be investing into real estate, how much into equities, how much into debt, and how much into commodities? Oh, I can see a lot of people. Okay, Shanmukha says equal proportion. I slightly disagree, Shanmukha. Okay, so let me tell you, there is one formula, and or I would say rule of mine which I follow. So this is something which I personally follow. I call it 4321. The rule of 4321 for my portfolio allocation. So 4 stands for 40%, 3 for 30%, 2 for 20%, and 1 for 10%. So this is my portfolio allocation. Now, what is my portfolio allocation is 40% into equities, 30% into real estate, 20% into bonds, and 10% commodities. So this is a allocation which I personally follow and which I would recommend you all. If you are someone, if you are someone who is not well versed with equities or not very happy about equities, what you can do is you can slightly change this allocation. You can slightly change the allocation. Like if I'm someone who's not very good fan of equity, I would make equity into 30%, and I may increase my real estate by 40%, or I will keep my real estate also 30% and increase my bonds, that is investing into government bonds or debt funds, to 30%. So based on your risk appetite, you can increase or decrease your portfolio allocation in any kind of asset by say 5 to 10%, but not more. Because no matter what your risk appetite is, in a long term, every asset has got its own USP, every asset has got its own pros and cons. And in the long term, you never know at which point of time which asset class is going to work wonders for you. And when you have a balanced portfolio, you can always be assured that no matter what happens, you are earning more than the average. Mutual fund comes under equity as well as bonds, both. So your equity mutual funds would be equities and your debt mutual funds would be bonds. And commodity means gold, crude. Crude, I would not recommend much because crude is highly volatile, but your gold, silver, these are the commodities where you can be investing into. Now, here is investing into PPF is a good idea. Yes, no doubt investing into PPF is a good idea, but this PPF will form part of your bonds. That is the debt. PPF is nothing but debt. So, your public provident fund, your fixed deposits, your government bonds, your debt mutual funds, your chit fund, even if you are investing into chit fund, everything form part of this bonds, which is called debt. Cryptos, I personally, I don't believe cryptos are an asset class. Crypto are a speculation class. So if you are someone who is a speculator per se, you are someone who is a trader, who has got that adrenaline rush of putting your money, speculating your money, then I would say yes, cryptos are one of the best mode as on date for speculating. NPS, yes, everyone and anyone who is more than 30%, who is falling into more than 20% tax bracket, 20 or 30% tax bracket, then you should invest your money into NPS because it gives you an additional tax benefit. And NPS, kindly remember when you are investing your money into NPS, NPS will always ask you that what is the kind of apportion. So NPS, when you put your money into NPS, it will not go everything into equities or debt. Your NPS also will get allocated into equity, your bonds, and your commodities. So here I would come with 7 golden rules that you can use to make money, and I'm sure most of your questions will get answered there. So the first thing is, as you all know, we all know, but we hardly practice, is that save first and spend later. So first I should define what is my saving budget, what is my saving allocation, and then I should decide on my spending. We all know this, but what we actually practice, we spend first and then save the residual, isn't it? So we spend first and then save the residual. So this is what we normally do. But we all know that we should first save and then spend. So let us translate our knowledge, our age old knowledge, our wisdom, which our forefathers have been bringing to us. Let us translate this into actions. Now, when I'm translating this into action, what is the amount of my savings should be? What should be my savings percentage? It should be minimum 25 to 30%. And if you are someone who is in lower salary bracket, 20%. But it should be minimum somewhere around 25 to 30%. And as your income levels grows up, your saving percentage, you should aspire to increase it to 50%. Next golden rule is always link your investment with a specific life goal. So first define your life goals. What are your various life goals, various financial goals, and link every investment. Like my investment, my SIP into this mutual fund is for my kids' education. What I'm investing into direct equities is for my own retirement. Always link your investment with a specific life goal and ensure that you follow the discipline of using those investments only for that life goal, no matter what, unless it is really an emergency where you are left with no other options. Third is don't mix insurance with investment. So people who have been asking LIC, ULIP, money back guaranteed plans, my recommendation would be please don't invest in either a money back guaranteed plan or a ULIP. Always invest your money into mutual funds if you don't want to take a headache. So take a term insurance, take a term insurance that is a pure life insurance, take a term insurance and then invest your balance into mutual funds through an SIP. Now, term insurance is an insurance cover for your life. And what is the term insurance that you should be having? You should have a term insurance cover of at least 15 times of your annual income. So, if I'm someone who's earning 10 lakhs per annum, I should have a life cover of 1.5 crores. But if I'm someone who's earning 30 lakhs per annum, is that 1.5 crores enough? No. I should be taking a term life cover of 4.5 crores. So you should not look at your life cover as 50 lakhs is enough or 1 crore is enough. What is enough is 15 times of your annual income. Now, why this 15 times? There is a science behind it. I Because of the paucity of the time, I cannot explain that. But please believe me, 15 times of your annual income is something which is enough for you to meet your expenses post for your family if something untoward happens to you. Believe liquidity is the king. So always ensure that when you are investing your money, you always consider what is the liquidity. What is the liquidity in your hand? So not being in a position where you run out of cash, what you should do is you should always have an emergency corpus. Emergency corpus of at least 6 months to 12 months of your expenses in the form of either short-term debt funds or in the form of fixed deposit. So either in the form of fixed deposit or in the form of short-term debt fund, you should have 6 months to 12 months of your annual expenses as your emergency fund. Never use credit cards for credit. Use credit card only for convenience of payment, but not for credit. Believe me, credit cards are the most expensive form of debt. Tejas says didn't get my fourth point properly. So Tejas, cash is always the king. That is the money that you have in your hand. So in case of my emergency, will the money which I have in my bank as my fixed deposit, will that save me or will my land save me? Like tomorrow, some of my family member got hospitalized and I have not taken any medical insurance. I need to pay medical bill of say 40, 50 lakhs. Will the cash in my bank that help me out or my land? Now, in that moment, if I go and sell my land, will I be able to get any money? Hardly. No. Immediately, I will not be able to find a buyer. But I can immediately redeem my fixed deposit or I can immediately redeem my short term debt funds. Sixth point is take loans for business and for no other purpose. No other purpose. You should never take loans for any other purpose other than business. Now, if you are someone who wants to buy a home and wants to go for an EMI kind of option, my recommendation would be please reconsider it so that you are not stressed out in paying your EMI because the so-called EMI life, वो EMI वाली life जो होती है ना, it is highly stressful in its nature. But still, if you are someone who want to, boss, psychologically, I'm someone who want to have my own house. My wife is not listening to me, so at least to make her mouth shut, I need to buy a house and give it to her. Then remember one thing: no matter what, keep the EMI value. Keep your total EMI value not more than 40% of your total monthly income. So if my monthly income is 1 lakh, I should buy a house within 40,000 EMI. Don't overstretch yourself to go beyond 40%. But yes, I again repeat, my recommendation is try to avoid buying a house on EMIs if you can't afford on your own. If you're taking through EMI only for your money management or tax saving, that's a different thing. But I don't have a money, I cannot afford a house, but I'm taking buying the house through a loan just to afford it. That is, I would say no. Last but not the least, invest in financial education. That is the best investment to start with. Now, if you are someone who want to invest into financial education, I've already recommended a book. Can you repeat what is the book that I recommended to each one of you to start with if you have not read it? Yes, Sudarshan. Right. Psychology of money. Please, please, if you really want to help yourself, I would recommend go today, buy this book, and read it. And I'm sure you will thank yourself, and also thank me for your lifetime. So, 7 action rules before we wrap for the day. So, what are the action rules that we decided? First, save minimum 20% of your earnings if you are someone who is in a lower salary bracket. But if you are in a higher salary bracket, what should be your savings? Should increase from 25% to even up to 50%. Take a life insurance cover of a minimum 15 times of your annual income minimum. Take a health insurance cover of at least 25 lakhs minimum. So if you are already covered, say if you are covered by your company for 4 5 lakhs of your insurance, go and buy a super top up plan. Go and buy a super top up plan which can cover you over and above that 5 lakhs, and the 20 lakhs of super top up over and above your existing 5 lakhs will not cost more than 4 to 5,000 for your entire family. Define your financial goals. So this weekend, I request you, if you have not defined your financial goals, please sit down and define your financial goals. That what are your financial goals and when are they? Like, I want to, for my kids' education, like I've got a daughter who are 12 and 14. So I need to plan for my daughter's higher education in the next 7 to 8 years. Then I need to plan for my own home. Then I need to plan for my own retirement. Then I need to plan for my kids' marriages, provided they allow me to marry them. And if they marry on their own, no worry, I can just gift that money to them as their marriage gift. So start defining your financial goals so that you get a clarity what your current status is and where you want to go. Pay all your debts first. Remember, it's really the best happiness in this world would be a debt free life. A debt free life will give you the happiness which no other money can really confer. Unless this debt is for the purpose of business. Yes, debt for the purpose of business is secondary thing. I'm speaking about personal debts. So if you are having personal debts, focus on enhancing your savings so that you can repay all your debts. Ensure to do an SIP. Ensure to do a systematic investment approach. SIP maybe into your mutual funds, SIP into direct equities, SIP into your debt funds, but not SIP into cryptos as someone suggested, because cryptos is not an investment altogether. If someone who is really fascinated about cryptos, I would suggest them first please understand what is the nature of a crypto. Is crypto qualified as an asset or not? And then you put your bet, you put your money, or you speculate on cryptos. And last but not the least, no matter what your age is, you may be 25, you may be 30, you may be 40, you may be 45. If you have not started planning for your retirement, start planning for your retirement now. You may say, Rajesh, why now? I'm just 25. No. If you're 25, what would be your residual working life? You may work up to next 30 years, am I right? Up to 55 max. With the kind of lifestyle we have and the kind of uh, like lavish foods we have, like pizza, burgers, and all. Do you think we can continue to work like the way we work beyond 50 or 55? No, we will not be. Now, if I retire at 50 or 55, after 50, 55, how many years I'm likely to live? The current average mortality, that is average mortality today, that is the average age of humans on the planet, is somewhere between 75 to 80. Your mortality rate has increased because of the advancement of medical science. Because of the advance of medical science, we are not healthy, but we still don't die. And since we are not healthy, and since we don't still don't die, post retirement, the kind of health expenses that would be happening, the average years. So if I say the average years of retirement life would be somewhere around 25 to 30 years, now think how are you going to manage your finances, your expenses for this 25 to 30 years, both for yourself and also for your spouse. How are you going to manage for it? If you say my kids will take care of it, then God save you, thank you very much, because I don't think in current generation it's good to aspire that my kid will take care of me, but I think it would be sensible to be on your own. Modi ji bol rahe atmanirbhar bano, even in terms of your retirement, please become atmanirbhar. So now it's a time for Q&A. So before we start the Q&A, I would just request Shiva to please launch a feedback poll. Please spare just 2 minutes time. Give your valuable feedback. The poll question is there on your screens. Please give your valuable feedback. There are just four questions, not many. Four questions which will not take you more than a minute or two. Please submit your feedback. And meantime, you can also start posting your questions.
Thank you so much, Rajesh, sir, for the wonderful session. There are a couple of thought-provoking suggestions. One is to traditionally everyone tells us to buy a home, but there's again a thought-provoking idea from you that you should not, because that's does not make sense putting your money there. And a few other sources of investments that you've told us in terms of bonds and the gold bonds. This is really interesting areas to look at. So I would request everyone to post your questions in the chat box, or you can raise your hand. I can move you to the panel and you can ask questions to register directly.
Okay, there is a couple of questions with regard to ELSS. ELSS are actually, so if you are looking for investing for your ATC deduction, ATC, which is like 1.5 lakhs is your total holding. If you are looking for if you are looking for ATC deduction, then ELSS is the best option. ELSS is the best option. And between ELSS and NPF, I think it's Provident Fund or NPS, I don't know. If it is ELSS and NPS, yes, ELSS and NPS, then you don't have a choice, boss. ELSS is on ATC, NPS is ATCCD. So you should invest 1.5 lakhs, whatever is the residual of 1.5 lakhs into ELSS, and you should invest up to 50,000 into NPS for a separate deduction. So you should invest into both. It should not be a choice between both. PPF is again at ATC only. So, so if I would suggest, still recommend you go for ELSS, because ELSS gives you a better return than PPF. PPF is currently giving you 8% return. If you see on an average, the ELSS funds that have generated, they have been generating a return of somewhere around 12 to 13%.
Sir, we have few raised hands. If you allow me, I can move them to the panel.
Yeah, you can. In the meantime, I will also keep looking.
Sure.
Yeah, Sachin says, when should someone buy home if not now? Very good question, Sachin. You should buy a home when you decide to retire. When you decide to retire, and when you are very sure that next 30 years or 25 years of my life, this is the place and this is how I'm going to spend, that is the time when you should buy a home, provided your retirement fund is good enough where you can afford to buy a home, so you can have a peaceful retirement life. If you see, traditionally our forefathers, they always used to buy a home or construct a home very close to the retirement, in line with their requirements of retirement. Why I'm saying not today? Because today, when you're earning, when you're mobile, you don't know which place, which city you are going to be. I have got so many friends who have a house in Hyderabad and they are currently working in Mumbai, or they have a house in flat in Mumbai and they are currently working in Hyderabad. What's the fun in it? First thing. Second thing is, if you are buying a house by paying EMI, what you're compromising is, first thing, your peace of mind, because every month you have to keep worrying about the EMI. Second thing is the potential of, say, my house rent is 22,000 and my EMI is somewhere around 45 or 50,000. The potential of earning, the incremental earning on that difference of that EMI versus my rent, what is the potential earning, would be much more higher than the appreciation that I can look for my property in future. Because residential properties, they appreciate in a short time. Like if I buy a new flat now, in the next 4 or 5 years you will see an exponential hike into the property price, but after 5 6 years there would be hardly much increase. The increase would be very close to just 6 to 7%. That's it. Yeah.
Sir, we have Sudarshan who's wanting to ask you a question. Sudarshan, you can unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Thank you, Shiva. Hi, Rajesh. Hope you're doing
Hi,
well.
Sudarshan.
Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I think you are someone who keep regularly attending my session, I think. Am I right?
True, very true. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks.
So today, yeah, that is absolutely like informative, and it's like enlightening all of us. Thank you so much. And I have two questions in my mind, so it will help most of us. So, how to invest on commercial real estate periodically? For example, like as you just said, a minute ago, wherein paying EMI would not fulfill our investment purpose for a home loan. So how to
Yeah.
invest periodically on a commercial real estate? There is one first question, and second question is like, what type of business loan can be taken easily in order to make an income out of it? Or I mean, I don't have idea about it. Like, your suggestion on that. These two are my key questions. Thank you.
Okay. See, for real estate investments, uh, nowadays there are a lot of other funds. Like how you have mutual fund for investing into stock market, there is an investment option like REIT. Okay. So real estate, one thing. So real estate, you should invest only if you have got very larger potential. So if you are someone who was looking for investing like 25 lakhs, 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs, if that is the kind of portfolio allocation you want to do into real estate, then you should start looking at investing into real estate. Okay. Now, REIT is one form where you can invest by like 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs, you can invest. They are again invested into other commercial properties and you get dividends or interest payouts from it. Okay, so it's very similar to kind of mutual funds investing into mutual funds. That is one thing. Second question, what is the second question you asked, Sudarshan?
It was about like a business loan. So in order to make any extra income out of it, or like, is there any option in order to make it? Because when we got to know that personal loan or the house loan will not be the ideal way of taking a loan. So how can a business loan help us out in order to make income? So because I saw in one of the uh, presentation where that is also one type of in the 7 golden rules, I saw the sixth one
Yeah.
as taking gold loans on only for business.
Yes,
So
only
in
for
order to serve
business.
the
So if
purpose,
you want to start a business, if you want or someone who is looking to start a business, then you should always look at starting the business with your own funds. Okay. So business loan should be taken either at the time of expansion or you're very much sure of your recovering your expenses. So when you are starting your business, always start with small uh, investments with maybe your personal savings or something, and then you go for business loans when you want to expand your business.
okay, okay, okay. That's it. Thank you so much, Rajesh. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sudarshan. So we'll take the next question from Ajit Mishra. Ajit, you can unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Yeah, actually, my question is regarding like NPS. So NPS we can show 50,000, correct?
Yes, 50,000 up to 50. You can invest more, but you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
got tax
Yes, yes,
exemption
yes.
up to 50,000.
So suppose that if I'm in bucket of 30% and instead of means investing in NPS because the return is 6 to 7%. So I'm agreed to give the tax and I will invest into SIP which is giving more like 12 and 30%. So this would be the better idea instead of investing in NPS.
Ajit bhai, first thing is NPS return is not 6 to 7%. NPS money is invested both into equities, into debt, and also government bonds.
Yes, approx 8 to 9, you can say.
My NPS currently, the NPS funds which I have invested in are giving me a return of around 12 to 13%. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I'm already saving my tax about say 30%, like I'm investing 50,000, already
Uh-huh.
15,000 is back to me. So my real investment is only 35,000.
Okay.
And if I'm getting a return of even say about 10%, my
Uh-huh.
effective return on it would be, if I have to calculate with other this, my effective return would be somewhere around 13 to 14%. So if
Okay.
your NPS investment is giving you anything more than 10%, it is better than investing into equities or any other riskier thing, because NPS is slightly much more safer. And second thing is the return on NPS is also tax free. Third thing is, what's at the end of the day, थोड़ा तो अपने long term retirement के लिए एक fixed corpus बनता है.
Okay. Okay. And do you have any idea about small case?
I have, but this is not the right platform to discuss on it. I'm not
Okay.
here to promote small case.
Okay. 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 No problem. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ajit. We'll take the next question from Tejas. Tejas, if you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hi, Rajesh. Good evening. Thank you for the session. My question was for the real estate funds investment. I'm doing a big amount of real estate investments and through SIP. Is it a right way to go with it?
Yeah, SIP is a right way to invest when you are earning regularly, because it makes sense. When my earning is on a regular manner, in a installment manner, because I'm not earning my entire annual income on a single step, my savings also being on a regular manner, it's always a right way into ELSS. And if you are someone, if you are looking at some recommendation with regard to ELSS funds, then there are three funds that I would recommend to in terms of ELSS. One thing is Parekh tax saver funds. It's
Okay.
one of the best performing ELSS funds. Second can be your Axis Long Term Equity Fund or MIA Asset Tax Saver Fund. Now, these three funds you can consider. You can either distribute your investment into these three or any two, but don't invest into a single fund. So
Okay.
try to diversify between 2 to 3 ELSS funds.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Tejas. We'll take the next question from Mr. Ashutosh. Ashutosh, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Just wanted to understand, go ahead as we do the SIP in mutual fund, can we do SIP in stock market as well?
Yes, you can do, Ashutosh. You can do a SIP into stock market as well. What you need to do is you need to first pick up your bucket of stocks which you want to invest. You need to study on them, and then you have to do SIP on the same fixed stocks. But you need to do your portfolio allocation right. So, say for example, I have picked up 15 companies. I cannot. There is one way that I invest 6% into all the companies, or I can give a slightly higher weightage, not more than 10%. Say Reliance, I can give 10% weightage, and maybe a small cap company, I can just give 4 to 5% weightage. You do a portfolio allocation, and if you are not someone very well versed with this portfolio allocation, then just equally distribute around 6 point odd percent, distribute among all the companies. Do that, and then what you should do is keep the share price in mind, and keeping the share price in mind, do the SIP. So every month you can invest, and if your every month investment is a small amount, say just 15-20,000, what you can do is do a monthly saving into a debt fund, into a ultra short term debt fund, 20-25,000, accumulate it over a quarter, and do investment on every quarter basis. So these are the two options. Either you can do on monthly basis, or you can do मंथली बेसिस इनटू अ डेट फंड, 3 महीने का इकट्ठा करके एक साथ क्वार्टरली बेसिस पे इन्वेस्ट करो.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Yeah.
Sir, I'll take one question from the Q&A that we have. This is
Yeah.
a very interesting question that we have from an anonymous attendee. So he says, I don't have time to learn and don't want to go for complexities of money management. Can I go for money management paid services by experts? How to choose an expert?
Okay. So if you are someone who don't want to invest your time and energy into money management, don't manage your money, but at least I would recommend you to invest some time in learning how to monitor your investments. Because even if you go for an even if you go for a finance expert and take his services, you should be in a position to evaluate the quality of his services and also evaluate the recommendations that he is giving. So at least basics of money management, basics of financial management, you should start learning on it. And one thing here, see, when you are working so hard, am I right, you are working so hard to earn your money, can't you work a little hard? Can't you take out some amount of your time in managing your hard earned money? Because at the end of the day, it is your hard earned money and not others, and neither you are robbed that money. So that's the only question. How you should be looking for an expert, or what you should be doing is, I would suggest you, depending on your portfolio size. If your portfolio size is, say, somewhere less than 50 lakhs, what you should be doing is try to go for a good financial advisor, take recommendations from him with regard to mutual funds. Don't go and say ki, okay, I open a stock market account, I will put my money into it, you invest on my behalf. No, take a help of a professional mutual fund manager, take help of a financial expert who will recommend you a good mutual funds, and invest into that. But if your portfolio size is say more than a crore, if your portfolio size is more than a crore, then I would recommend you can go for portfolio management services, PMS, because PMS starts with minimum 50 lakhs. So if you have a crore, what you can do is 50 lakhs you can manage in your own traditional way. 50 lakhs you can invest with a good PMS, that is portfolio management services firm, and invest through them into that and let them manage your money. There are multiple questions with regard to mutual fund recommendations. Okay. It is only a recommendation. I'm telling you the mutual funds which I'm personally investing into and what percentage I'm investing into. So you can note down. So what I do is I invest into different type of funds. So I do a portfolio allocation. Like 40% of my portfolio is invested into flexi cap funds. About 15% or 20% into about 25% into large and mid cap funds. 10% I go for some contra funds, and 20% in mid cap and 10% to small cap. This is how I have apportioned my portfolio. And the funds which I'm currently investing into is for my flexi cap funds, I go for Parag Parek flexi cap fund and Canara Ribaco flexi cap fund. Um, for large and mid cap, I have Mire Asset Emerging and Axis Growth. I've just shared the list of the funds which I'm currently invested into. So these are the list of funds which I'm currently invested into. So you can evaluate these funds. I would recommend kindly go on value research, evaluate these funds, and if you really like and appreciate, you can go and invest into it.
Thank you so much for those recommendations, sir.
I would just share my screen. Just a minute. I will just share my screen. Is the screen visible? So this is how I do my portfolio allocation for even my clients. This is how I do the portfolio allocation, like how your investment should be and how your SIPs should be allocated. Like if you are an aggressive, moderate, conservative, how you should allocate your SIP investment. So I basically recommend you to have a diversification and also diversify into different type of funds. Yeah. Guys, I would not be entertaining a mutual fund specific review. I'm not here to review each and every mutual funds. I've just given you my I've shared where I'm invested, so you can take a pick from it. Yeah, Shiva, other questions?
Yes, sir. We'll take the next question from Mr. Imran Khan. Imran Khan, if you're available, can you please unmute yourself and ask a question?
Hi Rajesh, thank you for the
Hi,
wonderful.
Imran.
I just have a question like where we can invest in between like in LIC or mutual funds like between because where we can invest with which been given to or more return in terms of investment like for longer period of time.
Investing into mutual fund would be my recommendation any day. LIC uh, just is one of the poorest form of investment. Why I say poorest, though it is the most trusted and very old traditionally, like सबसे पहले अपने दादाजी पिताजी बोलते हैं कि यार एक LIC की पॉलिसी खरीद ले. So there is an emotional value to LIC that we give. But you should ask yourself what is a see any investment. No, you should ask what is going to be my rate of return over a period of next 10 to 15 years. What is the kind of there is a big flip that we do, a mistake that we do. We always compare investments into absolute value. यार मैं 30 लाख रुपए इन्वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ 10 साल के बाद ये 30 लाख का 1 करोड़ हो जाएगा या 15 साल के बाद 1 करोड़ हो जाएगा दिस इज हाउ वी नॉर्मली have tuned our brain to evaluate into. But the question that you should always ask yourself is what is the annual return? Year on year, what is the kind of return my investment is going to generate? and you will get your answer. So if you go for your like Jeevan Raksha, your Jeevan Samruddhi policies of LIC, they give you annual return of 4.5 to 5%. Now you tell me, would you like to invest into something which gives you 4.5% or 5% return versus mutual funds which are giving you somewhere around 10 to 12% or 14% return? Which one you would is the better? Now you tell me.
Yeah, obviously, I would suggest go for the mutual funds.
Yes. So that is where I say just invest into educating yourself that how you should be evaluating funds. You need not be an expert. You need not be an expert. You have got experts to advise you. What you should learn is when an expert is giving you an advice, how you should evaluate the advice and then take the decision or not. सिंपल यार, जब शादी करते हैं, हर दोस्त हर शादीशुदा वाला अपना एक्सपर्ट बन जाता है कि यार ऐसी लड़की से शादी करना, वैसी लड़की से शादी करना. Okay, you take advices from everyone, but ultimately you go
Yes,
and
choice
decide.
is mine. Yes.
Yeah. So you should be in a position to take the decision. So don't leave the decision making, don't outsource the decision making for money management to someone else. So you can hire people to recommend you, but the decision should be yours.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Imran. We have a next question from Mr. Mohammad Asif. Mohammad Asif, if you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
First of all, very, very much thank you for all these informations that you are giving to us always, like on a regular basis. Really appreciate it. The question is, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, Asif, you got it.
The question here is two or three questions. First question is that the real time investment. So, like somebody is doing investment in flats. So we are seeing that after 5 year, 10 years, the appreciation value is not increasing. It's get saturated. So
Yes.
how is that? The first question is this one, sir. The second question is for commercial values properties, as we can see the increasing trend in online things. So how if shop also we are seeing that most of the commercial malls and all are getting closed. So that was the second question. And third is only three questions. Sorry for taking much time. The when to buy a gold and when to resell it and when to again buy a gold. That is the three questions. Thank you.
Okay. So Asif, first question is investing into real residential property, like buying a flat.
Yeah.
Okay. I would not recommend you investing into a residential flat because, as you yourself said, that after 5 to 6 years we see a saturation in that appreciation price, and the kind of return that you get. That if you are say if you have bought a 1 crore flat,
Mhm.
tell me what is the kind of rent that you can expect from that 1 crore?
At least 30K. Then
At least 30,000. So
yeah.
30,000 into 12 months, that is 3.6 lakhs. Am I right?
Yes.
So which is 3.6%.
Correct.
Minus your municipal tax and other maintenance costs and everything, you would be just getting a return of 3% on your investment.
Correct, sir.
Okay. 3% on your, that is a what we call it as a rental yield. So your rental yield would be somewhere around 3%. And over an average, the residential property increases by about 5 to 6%, not more than that.
Okay.
So your effective return would be somewhere around 8% on a residential property. So if you are happy with this 8% return, well and good.
Sir, there is one more thing that most of the like properties they are providing land within that society also to buy. So how's that like land like Prestige and all they are providing to buy a land for certain amount, and how's the appraisal of those land values?
So
Real
that
time.
is again like a very relative question. At the end of the day, you have to see that what is the valuation that you are given to the land. Is the valuation very expensive? Like currently, if you say currently should I invest into Hyderabad real estate, I would say no because it is quite expensive. It
Correct.
is quite expensively valued. So I am not someone who would invest into real estate as of now. So that is a very relative question that should I invest into this kind of property or that kind of property? Yeah. Over and above, the thumb rule would be that okay, try to avoid investing into residential property. Commercial property, yes. As you said that nowadays the malls and everything are getting closed, but it's a temporary phenomena that is post-COVID. But I think after a year or two, Everything goes. See, tell me, okay, I don't know about your wife, but my wife is already fed up with online shopping. Now she wants to go and have that feel of a mall, go and have
Okay.
that liberty of going and trying that clothes and everything. Okay, now she's fed up of online shopping. So that tells me the answer that yes, the moment everything comes to bare normal, the ladies in my house are going to step out and go back into the malls.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
sir, how can we select a particular commercial value? Like those are also very
That is
expensive.
again a tricky. See, thing is, you need to learn the art of investing into real estate. So if you start learning that, it's good. If not, then I told you REIT. REIT is a very good option. REIT is just, someone asked me to say that what REIT is. Okay. Now, REIT is again a kind of mutual funds. Like mutual fund, what happens? I collect money. Say if I'm a fund manager of a mutual fund, what I do, I collect money from various people, pool it together, invest into other companies, and based on their dividends and their appreciations, I can pay you again a monthly or annual dividend, and then the value of the mutual fund unit will go on increasing. Similarly, REIT is kind of mutual fund of real estate properties where various people come across, and there are REITs which with a minimum investment of 1 lakh.
Okay.
Okay. So even with a lakh, you can invest into REIT. So with 1 lakh, you can invest into that. All those money is collated, invested into rental, rented out properties which are already rented out or which are likely to get rented out. Then whatever rent you get on a monthly basis is paid out to the investors in the form of dividends. And finally, there is a lock-in period of 3 years, 5 years, depending on others. And after 5 years or so, and so if you want to encash your money back, certain property is sold out and that is converted and it is paid back to you.
So, so how do we like? Is it specific to any state or it is like uh, black black ball?
So there are multiple funds. You will have to analyze each and every fund and get into it. Okay,
Any
so
specific which you want to recommend us on that?
no, I'm not a big expert onto that matter, so I would not recommend any fund as such.
Okay.
Okay, so I would reserve my recommendation only to the areas where I'm really 100% sure of that. If you just blindly follow me, still you will not curse me tomorrow.
And so how the board, like nowadays we can see the price is increasing so much. So how about like selling the old gold?
The gold currently is like a speculation. Currently, gold, lot of speculation is going on. Okay, because of the current. So it is a simple thing. If if you are if the war between Russia and Ukraine is going to go very longer,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it's going to go very longer, then obviously it would have an impact on economies. It would have impact on various economies, and finally there can be certain economies which may collapse. So your valuations and everything across other assets may get impacted. So what is the best way is gold, because gold, no matter what, it is always a assured return. So it's a safe haven. So people are now trying to go and move out their money from equities, debt funds, because tomorrow, if like say if country goes bust, that investment into the debt can go completely wrong. Yeah. So they are
So
pulling out money and investing into gold. But if things become again normal,
correct.
things again become normal, the gold price will again start softening. So the if you want to trade into gold, so I'm not saying investment, you be very clear that so you're not investing into gold, you're trading into gold. So if
Okay.
you are someone who's interested into trading into gold, then whenever there is an uncertainty into economy, so you're not sure how the future is going to be, then that is a time where you can invest into gold. But when the economy is very well, your stock market is booming, everything is going really well, that's the time to exit from the gold if you want to trade into.
Okay. So the question is like nowadays the gold price is very high. So the old thing that we have bought, so it's time to sell it to for profit or to keep it still with handy, like or when to buy it. Does the price will go down or how?
I'm not. I would not suggest you anything on that. That whether you should sell it off or anything. Yes, personally, I can say that. Okay, I've told my wife. My wife has been asking me continuously that gold price is now increasing. Shall we sell off? Shall we sell off? Shall we sell off? I said okay. जब 6,000 हो जाएगा उस दिन बेच दूंगा.
Okay.
Okay. So someone was asking whether it is REET or REIT. It is actually REIT. It is Real Estate Investment Trusts. So which are floated through SEBI's registration. So since 2019, SEBI has allowed this REIT.
So is it safe, sir? REIT, like how is safe perspective, like
Yes,
fixed?
it is relatively safer, I would say. There is nothing called 100% safe. There is an inherent risk involved. But yes, it is relatively safer because it is not an unorganized, it is a very organized area where the REITs are registered with SEBI, which monitors it functioning and all. So they are completely monitored form of investments, not like your unmonitored or unorganized. Like cryptos are currently something which is not which is not monitored. They are not regulated. But REIT is something which is regulated. They have got their own safety norms built into it. So yes, you can invest into REIT.
Okay, and no income tax benefit on that, huh? If REIT,
No,
nothing.
currently there is no major tax benefit. Like equities, the equities you have a tax benefit. In REITs there is no major tax benefit.
Thanks you. Thanks a lot for your valuable time and feedbacks.
Mm.
Thank you, Asif. So we are inching towards closing this session. We'll take the last three questions. I am allowing Urvi. Urvi, if you're available, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Urvi, just hold on. Sorry for you. One question I would, because there are multiple people who asked with regard to term insurance.
Yeah.
Madan Prasad asked me, is individual term plans are really worthy? Madan Prasad and each one of you, I would say, yes, you should take a term insurance. In fact, the first thing that you should go about when you start earning is first take a medical insurance, and second thing is take a term insurance. I have got a term insurance cover of almost 5 crores. And why should you take a term insurance is because if I'm alive, I'm going to take care of my family. But if something happens to me, who is going to take care? Do I want my family to sell my savings and investments, which I've kept it for my kids' future and earn their monthly incomes? No. I would want my family to get a lump sum amount, which happens when in terms of term insurance. Like I've got a term insurance cover of 5 crores for which I'm paying just 60,000 per year. So with 60,000, spending 60,000, I'm getting an assurance of 5 crores. And if tomorrow if I die, my family will be getting this 5 crores. They can just coolly invest this 5 crores into a fixed deposit. Even if my wife don't know anything about it, invest into fixed deposit, and from fixed deposit she would be getting yearly almost like 25 lakhs, which is more than enough for the regular expenses. So all my other savings would be still stay secured for my kids, and my family need not compromise on the lifestyle. So go for a term insurance. Don't go for your money back guaranteed policies. Because money back guaranteed policies, what happens is, now I will tell you here, which your agent may not be telling you. If you are investing 1 lakh into any money back guaranteed policy, and if I am the advisor to you, any guesses, what is the kind of commission that I would be getting out of that 1 lakh in that first year? What is the commission that I would be getting? 10%, 30%, 15%. Boss, it is between 50 to 60%. 50 to 60%. So if you pay 1 lakh to the insurance company, I would be getting 50,000. Now tell me, would I not be interested to push that product and make you buy that? And the same thing tomorrow, if you take my advice and if I make you invest that 1 lakh into mutual fund, now guess what is the kind of commission that I would be getting from a mutual fund? As if one time 50% and every year 5%. So 5% of your return is already gone. Jigar, it is not 0.01%, but yes, it is between 0.6% to 1% maximum. So अगर 1 लाख आप invest कर रहे हो ना, तो maximum that I would be getting is between 600 rupees to 1,000 rupees as a commission, which I think you will not mind being paid out of your investment, your money, because at the end of the day, it is your money which is invested. So paying 600 to 1000 to me as a commission, I don't think you will mind. But if you're investing 1 lakh and if I'm taking away that 50,000 out of that 1 lakh, I'm sure it should pinch you. But the problem is, since you are not aware of it, since you are ignorant of it, you're happy investing into it. Okay. Now I leave the decision to you. As I told you, you should become the decision makers, not me or any other advisor should take decisions on your behalf. Because if I'm to take the decision, I will surely keep my own payback. मेरे को कितना मिल रहा है? Because everyone are selfish यार, याद रखो. Which term insurance you opted for? I have taken two term insurances. One when I was about 26 years old. At that time, I have taken Kotak's term insurance, e-term plan, and then when I turned about 35, again increased my insurance cover because by the time my earning increased, so I increased my insurance cover through ICSI. Good term insurances, I would recommend you go for anything between ICSI, HDFC, or SBI Life. These three have got a very good solvency ratio. Don't go for term insurances which are cheap. Go for something which are have a good solvency. Okay, Aegon and all their premium collections and all is very low. I would not suggest go for that kind of term plans. Tata, yes, relatively better. So I would say my fourth or fifth preference would be Tata or say Max Life. Max Bupa is not a life age company. It is Max Bupa is actually a health company. Max Life. Yeah.
We'll take the question from Urvi, sir, and we'll take another question after this, and we'll close the session. Urvi, if you can hear me, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Urvi, are you there?
Karan, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. We'll see if Urvi can be available by the end.
Okay, yep, sure. Am I audible?
Yeah, Karan, you are.
Awesome, yeah. So firstly, thank you so much for this session. It was really helpful. I actually have two questions. First is regarding tax harvesting. Now I understand the concept of it, like it's mainly to make sure that you doesn't pay the LTCG tax, but to keep the entire investment journey pretty much simple. Let's say if I'm investing for a longer duration, like through SIP, let's say for 15, 20 years, is tax harvesting something that I should be concerned about, or I should have a perspective about it? And if so, then how do we go about it? And my second question is regarding if anyone has any medium term goals of, let's say, 3 to 5 years, which investment channel would you recommend? Because again, FD is not something that I personally would like to go for, again, because it would barely beat the inflation. And mutual funds, I'm a little skeptical whether we should consider it or not, considering its volatile nature and not giving it enough time to compound on the your investment.
Okay, Karan. First question, I haven't got what you said. Tax. What you said? Where you want to
Tax
invest?
harvesting. Tax harvesting meaning, let's say if I'm so right now you get 10% LTCG if your entire return on investment is more than 1 lakh. So there are these different articles that I've read across on internet which says that you should on periodic interval withdraw amount from your mutual fund investment and again reinvest it to make sure that you doesn't fall into that LTCG bracket.
Okay.
So I was not. Yeah.
Okay. I was not able to get. Okay, you are speaking about your long term because.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, when you said LT, I was actually getting it as a leave travel allowance LTA.
No. LTCG.
So you are talking about long term capital gain.
Capital gain, yeah.
Yes. See, you are very right that any capital gain more than 1 lakh is taxable.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Now, if you are someone who is disciplined, let me be very clear. If you are someone who is very disciplined,
yep,
who have a control over your greed and temptations over trying to time the market, what one should be doing is every year in March, maybe somewhere around third week or fourth week, what you should do is you should redeem you should redeem a part of your investments which is less than 1 lakh capital gain. Redeem those funds, and
Okay.
immediately, as soon as you get that money into your bank, invest it back the same day or the next day into mutual funds, either the same funds or some other funds if you want to change your investments.
Mhm.
But you should redeem, invest it back on the same day, and keep it very simple. Do it in the March every year so that you are very clear about it. That's it. If you are someone who can follow this practice, go for it. बट अगर ऐसा है कि यार, सी दिस इज समथिंग विच आई एम डूइंग इट फॉर माई मेनी ऑफ माई क्लाइंट्स, एंड सरप्राइजिंगली फ्यू क्लाइंट्स है, राजेश भाई अभी एकदम से मार्केट गिर गया ना, शेल आई होल्ड दिस मनी, मार्केट थोड़ा और गिरने के बाद
Mhm.
फिर इन्वेस्ट करेंगे. ओके, आई
Mhm.
माई आंसर इज क्लियरली नो कि बॉस, योर इंटेंशन वॉज टू कंटिन्यू दिस इन्वेस्टमेंट ओनली फॉर योर टैक्स बेनिफिट. यू आर सेलिंग इट ऑफ एंड अगेन
Right.
बाइंग इट
Right.
अगेन. सो डोंट अगेन बिकम टू ग्रीडी टू कि भाई इसको भी टाइमिंग करेंगे कि मार्केट के करेक्शन से थोड़ा फायदा उठा ले.
Yep. Yep. No. No.
Because
Makes sense.
it's a double-edged sword. Yeah. Now, what was your second question?
Yeah. Second question was regarding any investment channel or medium that you would recommend for medium term goals, like 3 to 5 years,
Okay,
somewhere
medium-term
in.
goals. I would recommend you, instead of going for a fixed deposit, I would recommend you to go for a short-term mutual fund. One thing. Okay. And if
Okay.
you are someone who is from Southern India, okay, I'm sure you would be one who would be exposed to chit funds.
Not really. I'm from Gujarat state, so not I have much
Okay.
idea about that.
गुजरात में आई डोंट
Yeah.
नो व्हाट दे कॉल यार, बीसी या कुछ तो भी बोलते हैं. बट इन यस, इन साउथ इंडिया वी हैव लॉट ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइज्ड चिट फंड्स, एंड
Okay.
chit funds is an unorganized sector, but in South India, fortunately, we have a lot of organized chit funds. So South Indians are basically recommend that for your short-term goal, maybe 2 to 3 years, and if you're not very certain when you would your requirement would be, investing into chit fund is always a better than investing into fixed deposit or investing into short-term
Mhm.
debt funds. But yes, chit fund is the most riskiest. Your fixed deposit is the
Mhm.
safest, and your short-term debt fund is relatively safe.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Sorry, sir. Just one counter question to the tax harvesting advice that you gave. You said that I should redeem and buy it on the same day. So you mean to say that, let's say if I'm withdrawing 80,000 from my fund today, should I wait to have that amount come in my bank account? So I think it would take around 2 3 days, and after that I should buy it again, right?
Yes, that is what I said, and it is not 80,000. It is, I said, 80,000 of the capital gain.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Say
I mean, I was just giving an example of 80,000 of capital
yes.
gain that I made.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so you should keep it somewhere around 90 to 95,000 of the capital gain. Don't get into a 1 lakh thing, but somewhere around 90 to 95,000 of your capital gain, because there's a capital gain report that also would be available. So go for that, where
Right.
you get a 90 95,000 capital gain, redeem that and invest it on the same day. If you already have some surplus money into your bank, you can invest on the same day also
Right.
using.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. 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 Makes sense. Yeah. Got
Yeah.
it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Is LIC better to take term plan? Chandrasekhar ji, LIC is one insurance company which never encourages investors to take term plan. It has one of the most expensive term plans. Only off late they have come out with slightly cheaper, but you need not go for LIC. You can go for any. In fact, the insurance companies which I said, they have got a better worded policy, better policy than LIC. But if yes, if you are someone who says yes, I want to go for a government insurance company only, government owned insurance company only, then you can consider LIC before it goes for IPO, because after IPO it will no longer be a government owned insurance company. It will again become a public listed company. Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you
how
so
can
much.
we plan leave travel allowance to claim for tax saving? I think this is one question which has been coming repeatedly, but we missed to pick it up. See, leave travel allowance is this saving which is allowed only two times in a block of 4 years. First thing, in a block of 4 years, that is a current block. If I rightly remember, it is 2022 to 2000. 2 3 4 5 2025. So in this block of 2022 to 2025, in this block, two times you can claim. When you can claim is whenever you are planning any travel with your family. So whenever you are, because leave travel allowance, only your travel expenses are exempted. So if you are traveling by rail or traveling by air, only that is exempted. Or if you are hiring a taxi, only that is exempted. Not your hotel stay, not your other holiday expenses. Okay, first thing. So if you are, whenever you are planning to travel by air, because that would be a bigger amount, that time you should plan to claim your this thing. If not, in a gap of 2 years, whenever you're going for a longer travel, so where you have gone for a through train, you have gone, but then you have again hired a taxi, remember to collect the bill of the taxi, because you need to have the proof of expenditure. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time and clearing all the questions and doubts that are being asked. And thank
Shiva,
you so
just
much.
I will take one last question.
Sure.
Prabir really loved this question. His age is 24 and he's asking me for investing into NPS. Prabir, I would really acknowledge you and I would appreciate this question first. Uh, Urvi, we have been waiting for you to unmute. Sorry to keep you waited. I interrupted you in between. I will just answer this question and I will come to you, Urvi. Last thing. Okay. And after that, no questions, please. Yeah. So, Prabir, NPS, you should invest only up to 50,000, because at the end of the day, the money that you put in is completely blocked. So, I would suggest you only go for 50,000. If you want to invest it on the monthly basis, go for 4,000 per month. Okay, and balance amount, whatever you have surplus, start an SIP, boss. Start an SIP. So Prabir, you are 24, so just I will give you some quick tips. First, go for a medical insurance. Second, if your salary is more than 5 lakhs per annum, go for a term insurance cover. Third, start your SIP. And if you are into falling into 20 to 30% tax bracket, so Prabir, only if you're falling into 20 to 30% tax bracket, if you are a taxpayer, then go for NPS up to 50,000. And for your ATC deduction, if you are a taxpayer, for your ATC deduction, invest into ELSS funds. Kindly remember, ELSS is another category of mutual funds which are available for tax exemption. So you're in mutual funds, there are two kind of funds. One is equity and debt. And in equity, there are ELSS funds and there are regular funds. So go for ELSS, that is equity linked saving scheme funds for your ATC. Yeah. Yeah, Urvi, sorry to keep you waited. Please unmute yourself. I already gave good options for ELSS, boss. Parag Parekh, ELSS fund, your Axis and Mire Asset. I think we again lost Urvi. Urvi, if you are there, kindly unmute yourself. Else, we will have to. Uh, yeah, Urvi. Yeah.
Urvi, we cannot hear you. If you can speak a bit
Should
louder.
I go ahead?
Yeah, Urvi, please. Shiva, I think we should plan a next session on mutual funds. So, how many of you are really invested into mutual fund? Because I see a lot of questions coming, even like FOF, thematic funds, what I should be.
Sure,
Yeah.
sir. I think we should definitely do it. There are a lot of responses also on the chat box.
Yeah, sure.
Shiv, as
Yes,
Urvi
sir.
is not able to, should I go ahead?
Yeah,
Please,
Urvi,
please.
Yes. Hi, Rajesh sir, thank you so much for the session. It was really helpful. I have a question that I used to buy physical good till 2021, and I recently got knowledge about sovereign gold bonds. So should I sell my physical gold and put that money into gold bond?
Okay, Urvi, first question is, are you married or not?
I'm Rushabh. I'm not Urvi.
Sorry, your name that is displayed as Urvi. Okay, so Rushabh, are you married or not?
I'm not married, single yet.
Okay, then you can sell the gold.
Okay, all the
Because
gold.
if you are married guy, then obviously your wife will not allow you to sell the gold. She will make your life a hell.
Okay, but my parents are involved in this, so and they will not allow me to sell all the gold.
See, to
So
the extent you are not worried about the security of the physical gold. If you say your parents are involved, I am sure they're having your gold. Your parents is as safe as keeping it bank locker. So if
hmm,
you are not worried about the security of the physical gold, then you can continue with the physical gold. But if
hmm,
you are concerned about the safety of the physical gold and you want to get rid of that
hmm,
tensions, then you should sell that physical
hmm,
and go for sovereign gold. Because remember, there is a difference between physical gold and sovereign gold bonds. Sovereign gold bonds come with a lock-in period. A
hmm.
physical gold is completely liquid. You can just go out, step out, go to a gold jeweler, sell that gold and convert into cash. But
Okay, so
sovereign gold, there is a lock-in period. So there is 1 point of difference between both.
okay, and gold bond, as you mentioned, it comes with 8 years locking period, right?
5 years lock-in period.
Five
It's
years.
8 year
Okay,
bond with a 5 years lock-in period. After 5 years, you can sell it off.
but I
And
heard. Okay, but I heard that if I put that into Demat account, I can trade after 3 months. Is that true?
uh, not really. That is actually if you are putting into ETF funds, electronic traded gold funds,
Hmm.
gold ETFs, then you can.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Gold ETFs, yes, many people are investing into gold ETFs, but uh, uh, with the current global scenario, I'm slightly skeptical about the reliability of gold ETFs because there are certain undercurrents where it has been reported that the underlying gold was a fake gold and all, especially in China and all.
Mhm.
So it is not very highly publicly reported news. So that is one thing because if see, I'm investing into gold so that I'm assured of it, the
Okay.
security of it, and obviously the gold with RBI is most more secured than gold with some private agency.
Right. So you purchase gold or physical gold or gold bond?
Sovereign gold bond. I have
Okay.
been purchasing sovereign gold bond
Mhm.
once every 6 months or so.
Okay. Okay.
As I told you, I follow that portfolio allocation. Don't forget that 4-3-2-1 rule.
Okay. Yes, definitely.
I invest only 10% of my money into gold, and
Mhm.
I review once every year that what is my portfolio allocation. And
Mhm.
if my portfolio is highly tilted towards any one firm, I try to rebalance it by selling one. Like if my equities are making 60% of my portfolio, I sell some part of equity and move it to debt.
Okay.
That is how I try to balance once every year.
Okay. And I have purchased many LIC policies. So should I close them and purchase term insurance, or should I keep them going?
See, LIC policies, if you surrender them, if you have not paid for more than 5 years, then you would hardly get any money first.
No, I'm paying all the LIC policies regularly.
But since how long?
Mm, it was purchased on different years, so I'm not sure. But
See, if it is just a year or two, though you may not like the suggestion, but if it is just a year or two, then just leave them off. You will not get any money, but it
Mhm.
would be like cutting down your losses.
Okay.
Okay, but if you are invest paid somewhere around like 3 to 4 years, then
Mhm.
wait for at least 5 years to finish off.
Mhm.
Anything that is more than 5 years, you can just leave those policies without making any payment.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Because after 5 years, they just get shortened up. Like for whatever is the value, they just balance it off, and on
Mhm.
maturity, you will get a reduced value.
Okay.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rishabh. Yeah, I think we've got confused with your name. Your display name shows us Urvi Raichura. So we've been calling out Urvi, and you must have been thinking who's the Urvi is. So, so we'll close the session with a thank you note. Thank you so much, Rajesh sir, for coming in this afternoon, for taking so many questions. I think this is the first time that we crossed 5:15. We usually close our sessions at 5, and you've been very patient. You've been answering all the questions coming at you. Thank you so much for that. And we will definitely do another session on mutual funds very soon. I will confirm the date and time with Mr. Rajesh Jain and come back to everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for also taking the time and attending the session today. We are doing another session next Friday on diabetes awareness. I'll hope to see you all there. Thank you so much, and goodbye.
Thank you all.